All right, everybody, back again with another video. Today we're working on the F-SuperDuty, the old White Claw. We're getting ready to go on a camping trip down to the beach. And the big question is, will the White Claw make the trip? So you can see I've already gotten started on something that needs to be done, and we'll go over that in a second. But let's talk about what we need to do to the truck to get ready for this camping trip. We need to change the oil, we need to grease the front end, we need to give the truck a good once over. This is the longest trip this truck will ever have made since I've owned it. And so we need to do a little bit of due diligence before we take off down the road. I'm going to be getting some new tires, so I'll film that if I can. But yeah, let's get into real quick what we need to do, what we're working on right now. All right, you join me at the rear end of the White Claw. Now, what we have going on is I noticed we have an unidentified fluid that's leaking down the back of the tire onto the rim and then onto the tire onto the ground. My guess is this left side axle seal, wheel seal has gone out. I'm a little discouraged because I replaced it last year, I believe. You can certainly tell by the RTV there in lieu of a gasket. Yeah, so I did this once before. I'm a little discouraged that it seems to be leaking again. What I think we're going to do this time is we're going to check the axle vent, make sure that the axle vent is clear. If it's plugged up, it may have blown out this seal. So I've already gotten the brake caliper off, and next step is going to be get this axle shaft out, and then we'll be able to access that big nut that holds this hub on, and we'll pull this big old hub off and we can get to the back of the seal. So let me go ahead and get that done, and I'll bring you back to show you more. Okay, a little status update. We've got the axle shaft out. Let that all drain. I'm waiting for another set of hands to pull this entire hub assembly off, and then we can get to the seal, which is going to be down in here, sort of right around here. So once I do that, I'll get my new seal out and get it in. All right, the situation has escalated, as you can see. We've got a nice bed full of tools. We got tools on the ground, tears here, but the job is done. New seal is in. Axle nut is torqued to 65 foot-pounds, and then I backed it off 5 turns. Got our actual axle shaft in. Brakes are back together. Whew. And now I got to clean all this crap up, and we can get to the next thing that we need to do, which is going to be giving this thing an oil change. Okay, you join me on a bright, amazing new day, and we're deviating a little bit from our White Claw maintenance. It's up there. We got the oil change, we got that axle seal fixed yesterday. Today we're taking a quick break to do a little bit of camper maintenance. I'm going through and doing the bearings, and you may ask yourself, Evan, why's your wire repair kit out? Well, back here I noticed that we had pulled this green-blue wire out of the butt connector that had these two in it. So my guess is we hit something, or I don't know, something pulled this out. So right now I'm going through and I'm putting a new butt connector in there to hopefully get my brakes going. I did both the bearings on this side of the camper already. The tires have been inflated to the proper air pressure. You can see we've got quite the menagerie going on out here. So let me get this done and let's move along to the other side, eh? All right, let's take a look at my redneck repair. So the issue we were running into was, this was where the original connector was. Our green line here was a little bit longer, but it wasn't quite long enough to make these match up again after I trimmed it down. So I had to add me in a little jumper extension. No big deal. Going to tape it up and we'll call it good. I mean, the simple fact is it's probably going to work better than it did before. So let's get it done. All right, guys. So you join me on the left side of the camper now. We had that little delay where we had to repair the brakes on the right side of the camper, so we're just now moving over here. I've got the rear hub and brake assembly taken apart. Right now I'm going through with a pan of gas and I'm cleaning all of our necessary parts, everything we're gonna need. It's real quick, it's real easy. Using gasoline makes it real quick to clean this stuff up. Now if we take a quick look, what we want to do is we want to be looking at our outer bearing. We just want to make sure that it's clean, that we don't have any pitting or rust or any deformities going on. This one's smooth, rotates nicely. It's got a little bit of chatter, but it's not excessive. So what I think we'll do is we're just going to go through, we're going to pack this bearing and we're going to send it. So I'll bring you back when we know a little more or when we're doing something else interesting. All right, with that, we've finished the bearings on the camper. I'm sorry I didn't show you guys any more, but with the way that the weather's looking, we had some drizzles coming in and everything. I just wanted to get this done, and so I just kind of buckled down, threw the music on, and got it taken care of. All 4 of our wheels, the bearings have been repacked. They've been checked. There's no play. Tires have the proper air pressure. We're good there. Now, we didn't really get the chance to discuss everything that we did to the truck to help get ready for the trip. As you know and saw, we did this axle seal. I don't know if it's leaking yet. I hope it's not. We'll see. I did an oil change and I greased the front axle, all the steering components and the kingpins on either side, pumped them full of grease. Now, as you know, the next step, I think this is going to be probably a next week thing, depending on when I can get some free time, but we are going to be replacing these tires. These 4 tires on the rear are old. I mean, they do okay, but for our beach trip a few states away, we're definitely going to want some newer tires just to avoid a blowout. And I do not have a spare for this truck. I need to get another 10 lug rim. Don't have one at the moment. So we definitely need to make sure that our tires are up to snuff. So I'm gonna get the camper put away for now because we're done. Park the truck, and I'll bring you back when we are at the tire shop. Here we are at the local tire shop. Get my new tires. All right, everybody. It is a few days later, and as you can tell, we are no longer where we started this video. My apologies. I meant to film and show you guys a little bit more progress, but it just didn't quite happen. I just wanted to hustle and get this stuff done before I had to leave. So I think where we last left off, I was at the tire shop. I got my 4 new tires. What else did I do? I just changed the oil and gave the truck a cursory wash. We loaded some essentials in the 2 side boxes. I have a bunch of tools in this Pelican case along with the spare tire. We've got the camper hooked up and we are stopping for the evening in Kenly, North Carolina at the Kenly 95 truck stop. We left out of town around 3. Truck's doing okay. Pretty much if you keep the speed down to about 60, then it doesn't overheat. It still rides like a horse and buggy, but hey, it's doing the job so far. So yeah, we pulled into our spot. We're gonna go grab a bite to eat, and if I can think of anything else, we'll film later. Otherwise, I'll try to get some footage for the second half of our trip tomorrow and getting to the campground. So I'll see you guys later.
Driving through the night trying to keep my eyes open. The generator's busted and the AC's broken. I'm talking to the Lord, hope he helps us get there safe. And we made it to the show, now we're singing to the crowd. We're playing encore and they're screaming real loud. Try to get home early, but I know that ain't the case. Yeah, it's another hotel room, sleeping on the floor. I'm hurting in the morning from the night before. Pay my dues, I'm eating up the road. I'm coming home, baby, leave the porch light on. Breakfast in the morning from 7 to 9, but we just can't seem to wake up in time.
All right, it's a few days later yet again. As you can tell, we're back from the beach. So I think we answered our question. Will this truck go to the beach and back? Well, yes it will. Now, we didn't really have any major problems. We did use a decent amount of fuel, but that is to be expected. I really wasn't able to calculate fuel mileage because, well, my back tank leaks if you fill it up, and my front tank fuel sender doesn't work. Not that that's really an issue. I did do a rough calculation just based on my front tank, and it looks like we were getting about 8 miles to the gallon, 8.5 miles to the gallon with the camper in tow. That's, again, about to be expected. It was a bumpy ride. It was a little bit of a hot ride, but it did do it. Now, since we did make it, I guess we'll do some more work to the truck and try to make it a little bit better. Maybe we'll fix some of the vacuum leaks, trace down the electrical gremlin that haunts the multifunction switch and also the wipers. Maybe we'll do something with the fuel tank sender in the front tank, and maybe we will check out what is wrong with the rear tank as to why when you brim it, it starts leaking. So these are all things we can think about in the future. I'm very pleased with the truck for making it all the way from Virginia to South Carolina and back. Not a far drive, but you know, not one that I ever expected this truck to have to make. So y'all, I think that's gonna about wrap up this video. I know there's gonna be a couple weird edits, time jumps, this, that, and the other, and I'm sorry for that, but a lot of this work I just wanted to get done. I either forgot to pick up the camera or I just didn't want to pick up the camera,
because being the perpetual procrastinator that I am, we were really down to the wire to get ready for the trip. And when I finally did remember to pick up the camera, we'd already passed whatever significant event I should have been filming, or, you know, we were elsewhere. So I hope you guys did like coming along with me on my little vacation. And who knows, perhaps we will do some work to this truck on the channel in the future. Otherwise, I'm sure there's no shortage of projects for me to be working on. But the biggest question is, which one do I want to tackle next? Either way, I will see you guys next time.